Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is Brent Conley with eXp Realty. I'm bringing in and interviewing a friend of mine with Ready Capital. He's a vice president business development officer and is specializing in SBA loans for commercial real estate. And his name is Andrew Simon. Andrew, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great this morning. How about yourself?
Doing good. Thank you for having me here today.
Hey, thanks for taking this meeting. So I invited Andrew to share with us a little bit about what he's doing to get people really good financing through his company when they're buying commercial real estate. And it's a little bit different than just commercial lending out there because he's specializing in SBA loans. And with SBA loans, I don't know all the particulars. I just know that it's low down payments and the interest rates are really good. And the entry level is evaluating the property or business opportunity. I think he does business opportunities as well. And I wanted to get the word out there that this is another way for you to help your clients if you're a real estate agent. And most of the agents that I know are focused on residential, but we always run into situations or clientele that own businesses and they are looking for finance options. And one of the ways we can stand out is to be a resource for every single person out there in our databases. And so, Andrew, talk to us a little bit about Ready Capital.
Excellent. So Ready Capital is a great organization. So headquartered in New York, we've got locations around the country. So we're a nationwide lender, can lend in each state. We provide loans up to $5 million. So if you're buying commercial real estate, you could be buying a $5.5 million piece of real estate, and we could finance a loan up to $5 million.
Okay, cool.
Basically, that's a 10% down. So 90% loan, which is pretty great. There are some scenarios where borrower injection can be 5%. We'll get into that a little bit later, but Ready Capital is a preferred lender to the SBA. So we don't actually send our loans to the SBA. We're not required to. So all of our underwriting, our approval, our funding and servicing is done in-house.
Oh, okay.
That's really advantageous to a client because if you send it to the SBA, it adds additional time to your transaction.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but time seems to kill deals.
Right.
So we can be expeditious in funding.
Yeah.
Commercial loans are a little bit different than your traditional residential loan, a mortgage. Ready Capital can pay up to 2% referral fee of the loan amount. So if it's $1 million loan, I can pay a referring agent $20,000 up to. Now,
Wow.
I'm relationship based, so those larger referral fees come with stronger relationships, obviously. But lo and behold, everyone always gets a little something when you work with Andrew Simon at Ready Capital as a referring source.
Man, that's fantastic. Another stream of revenue for everybody watching this. So make sure you're writing that down that it can be another revenue stream if you're contacting Andrew. So Andrew, like what kind of property, let's say, is good for an SBA type loan that you're doing? Is it just like attached to the business, or can it be incorporated with hotels or apartment complexes or stuff like that?
Yeah, I'll give you a few examples. So to set some parameters, so we kind of get a firm understanding of what we're looking for. And then I'll give you some examples. The first parameter is owner occupied. We want businesses, not residents, businesses that are occupying 51% of the space.
Okay.
So let's say you've got a multi-level piece of property. The first floor could be your business, 5,000 square feet out of a 10,000 square foot building. And the second level could be apartments. We can finance that. We also are looking for properties like rent replacement. Let's say you're a CPA firm and you're currently renting space at a strip mall and you want to go buy a house that is zoned commercial that you're going to be operating your business out of. You can finance that with an SBA loan. So it is strictly tied to businesses. It's not for residential purposes. Some things we're really concentrating on is real estate next year. So our primary purposes are use are gas stations, hotels, mechanic garages, anything a business operates in, we would love to finance. The minimum loan that we're looking to do is $350,000.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Not on the West Coast, that's for sure.
Commercial property, that shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. So,
but these properties, a lot of people always ask, I would love to buy something that has a passive income stream, such as rental properties on top. The SBA 7A product is perfect for businesses. It's not just for not just for real estate acquisitions. You can do ground up construction. You can do tenant improvements, if you will, like maybe you're not buying the real estate, but you're improving the space you're leasing. We can finance that as well.
Okay.
The things that can't be done with the 7A product. Let's say you did buy a piece of real estate that had rental properties on top or wherever on the side, who knows. You can't use these funds to improve a rental property. The funds can be used to buy the property, but they cannot be used to improve the rental portion.
Okay. Just the owner occupancy portion of it.
Correct.
Okay.
But you can buy the whole shoot and match with that. So let's say you did buy a building. You can also finance in that same loan a new parking lot. Let's say you wanted working capital for your business. SBA, while it's used for many purposes, it's great for small businesses to encompass everything they would need for the most part. You're buying technology, you need working capital for additional employees, marketing. Let's say you're buying company vehicles, your delivery business, and you just bought a lot to park it in. We can finance those type of additional expenses in a business.
Okay, that's cool. What about like prepayment penalties on that? Is there a term that you have to stay in an SBA loan, and then what's the recourse on that?
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's a great question. So 25-year terms is what we offer with a 25-year amortization. The prepayment penalty is a 5% in the first year, 3% in the second year, and 1% in the third year. After the third year, there are no prepayment penalties.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that works.
In terms of recourse, so we'll never lend more than the property is worth. So when you're financing real estate, you're typically very secured. You're fully secured, technically.
Yeah.
With every SBA loan, there is a personal guarantee.
Okay.
But states have homestead exemptions. But we first look for, when it comes to recourse or collateralization of a loan, we're going to be looking towards the business assets first. If there is a shortfall, meaning you got $1 million loan and $800,000 of assets, that $200,000, we're going to look maybe other businesses you own, if you can pledge that, or we'll be looking at personal assets, such as a primary residence or rental properties you may own. But it's kind of at our discretion as well. If you don't have strong equity in those assets, like a primary residence, or you have a good equity, but a larger first position than our shortfall, we may not require putting a lien on those assets. So at Ready Capital, it's more of a boutique situation. We're not mass producing loans like at a big box retail bank. We are tailoring it to your needs. So we get to know your goals, your hot buttons that you want to avoid. Maybe you're rate sensitive, maybe you're equity injection or down payment sensitive. We want to create a scenario that meets the goals of buying this property.
Cool.
So,
perfect.
Yeah, terms 25 years. Equity injection is between 5 and 10%. Safe bet is always 10%. And interest rate, I'll give you the worst case scenario. Currently it's 6%, but they really do range between, I'd say, 4.5% to 6%.
Yeah, 6% in the commercial world is not a big deal. I mean, people, residential agents are kind of like, oh, we're at 3% or whatever. But most of the time, commercial's a little bit more expensive, shorter year terms. But 25-year term is a great term also, especially amortized. The process or the time frame? Let's say time frame. So from when you're like, hey, you took an application or however that works out into funding that loan, what does that look like? Is it a 90, 120-day process? Are there appraisals involved? Like, talk to us a little bit about time frame.
Sure. So every project is different. Buying a gas station is different than buying a hotel, which is different than buying a grocery store. So the needs of the project are always a little bit different, but a common theme you can find is 8 weeks from application, from credit to funding. We really work at the speed of the borrower. So we provide checklists, and it's really 3 phases. We collect all the information we need, tax returns, P&Ls, balance sheets, purchase agreement or letter of intent, issue a proposal. You say, hey, I like this proposal. You make a $10,000 deposit, which goes towards your closing costs. And then we're off to the races. We've got everything we need typically for underwriting. I ask for it up front. It takes me about 2 days to review your loan request. We're pretty good at giving a firm no, which is fast. But when we issue a proposal, it might take 2 to 3 days because we want to make sure that we're going to be able to finish what we start. Underwriting takes 10 business days. A third-party appraisal can take about 10 to 15 business days. And closing, which includes title work and all of that, takes about 30 days. So if everyone wants to know, when do I know I'm approved? So after we issue the proposal and get you in the credit, plan for about 2 weeks, give or take a few days for an approval. Once the commitments have been made, such as an appraisal, we then issue a commitment letter. There's nothing holding this back. Now it's just closing the loan up. So I would say if a client is a rush, got to get this done in 45 days, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Not really. But can it be done? It has. Yeah. I like to err on the side of caution and say, listen, let's speak with your seller. Let's figure out a way to make this work. In 2 weeks, we'll have an approval. In 4 weeks, we'll have a commitment letter issued. And in 60 to 75, we'll have this done, Yeah. So, and that's just on a real estate transaction. When you're doing 7A loans, there's always additional needs. Suppose they want to upgrade equipment in the building, those are the things that add complexity to the transaction. So I would say the best answer I could give is an approval within 2 weeks of underwriting, and within 4 to 5 weeks a commitment letter.
Perfect. That's totally reasonable.
8 weeks.
Yeah, totally reasonable. All done, 8 weeks. I mean, everything commercial real estate takes longer. It's not like it's a 30-day process like in residential, real estate, and even some of the loans in residential real estate, they go 45, 60 days, all that stuff too. So, but yeah, that's totally reasonable and pretty good. So, what are the top 2 or 3 myths that need to be dispelled right now, and to encourage people to, hey, let's take a look at your file. Let's take a look at your client's business to see if we can get them financing.
So we'll look at a myth from the broker side, and we'll look at a myth from the client and seller side. So on the broker side, referral fees. A lot of these people are familiar with RESPA laws, and they say, I'm a residential real estate agent. I cannot collect a referral fee. Okay, if you don't want to collect it, I won't pay it. But you are eligible in a commercial loan. Different brokerages have different rules, but I am totally allowed to pay a referral fee.
I love that. I mean, that is a huge myth that's out there. And I mean, commercial real estate is just totally different than residential. And we just, think a little bit differently, and we're taught differently in the residential space because it's people's homes that we're dealing with, right? And it's their lifestyle, and they're not typically educated to the level of a business owner that's looking to buy commercial real estate, right? It's a different education level for a lot of people out there. So that's a great one. And referral fees that being paid for commercial lending, I think it's fantastic. I'm going to add that to my revenue stream as well. So thank you for that, Andrew. And what's the other on the client side?
So on the client side, I think the biggest question I always get asked is, what is it based off of my income? You know, if I like just my taxes, because taxes are one thing and profit and loss statements are another. What you report on your taxes might not be the actual health. I recognize that and I understand that. So the biggest myth is, while underwriting is completed to tax returns, we also use profit and loss statements to supplement that, because perhaps there are one-time expenses. So just because you show a loss or a negative net income on your tax statements for your business doesn't mean you're not going to get a loan.
Wow. That's huge. That's really, really big to actually understand that, because, one-time expense, it could be a huge expense, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to be profitable for the next 10 years. It's like something hit you pretty hard in your business and you're over that, it's paid. It took the profit away for that year, but does not mean your business is insolvent. So you get to move forward. So I really appreciate you saying that piece of it there.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Another thing to think about is, I'm a person too. My name's Andrew Simon. I'm located in Michigan, but I work nationwide. When you're working with me, you're not just getting the numbers crunching. Everything has to check these 5 check boxes and you're approved. I'm looking to understand your situation. Who you deal with is just as important as what you're working on. So I have an expertise in real estate, transportation, hospitality. If I'm not the right fit for your particular client or situation, I have other resources at Ready Capital that I am more than happy to share. A little bit about me, I've owned a small business before, moved cross country. I'm not just, I have hobbies, I have a daughter. I'm a person too. My goal is to facilitate your goals and dreams through leverage. It's not just to get a loan in and out of the door. When you work with Ready Capital and myself, we're more relationship oriented. Rate isn't everything. I don't want to ever lose a loan because my rate was half a point higher or whatever that type of scenario is. My goal is to say, okay, I want to figure out how to make this client win this transaction. And I'm happy to figure that out with them and make it a win all the way around. And that's the biggest thing about working with Ready Capital is we have creative results.
Yeah, I'm a client also, so I appreciate that. And I do know for a fact that Andrew has, done loans for free almost just to get the client the transaction done. So, I wanted to give you that.
I said that too loud.
Well, it's important that it's a relationship business, and to really highlight that, because you're human, you care, you put yourself in other people's small business and say, hey, how would I like to be treated this way? So I think that's important to highlight. So I appreciate it. So Andrew, how do they contact you? Cell phone number, email, all that stuff.
Yeah. So my email is really simple. It's just andrew.simon@readycapital.com. And my phone number, everyone get your pens and papers out. It's 317-777-0038.
Perfect. Okay. And then do you have a individual website they can check you out on?
You can go to readycapital.com. But at the end of the day, I'd rather just have a conversation, FaceTime, Zoom, Skype. I'd rather connect personally and make that connection real, because technology sometimes fails. And this month is the last month of the CARES Act for SBA. That's where there were 3 months of payments up to $9,000 made on behalf of the borrower, removed guarantee fees. It was a great situation. We're really, really busy. But if I can get a text, a phone call, an email directly to me, I'll make sure to respond very, very quickly.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you telling us a little bit about SBA and the lending process for small businesses and commercial property, Andrew. So thank you for your time, and I'll be in touch with you soon.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks.